Of Superintendent Hoffmeister, I would like to welcome you to our webinar today on instructional support for all students. This webinar is hosted by the TSI staff and the Office of School Support. The Office of School Support and Improvement is led by Dr. Brooke Myler. I am Michelle Seybolt, the Director of TSI, and Leslie Schmitt is our TSI Specialist. Leslie and I will be taking you through our webinar today. We will be monitoring our chat box, so if at any moment you have a question, please feel free to add it in the chat box and we will be able to answer it. Today our session goals are for you to have an in-depth understanding of instructional coherence and have a great understanding of the curriculum resources and parent resources provided at the Oklahoma State Department of Education. Instructional coherence. Instructional coherence has three components. So as I read these statements, I want you to think about the degree to which you agree or disagree with each of the following statements. In particular, when you think about these statements through the lens of your ATSI designated subgroups. The curriculum, instruction, and learning materials are well aligned to state standards at each grade level. There is a consistency in curriculum, instruction, and learning materials among teachers in the same grade level or subject area at my school. The curriculum deepens understanding and addresses gaps across grade levels. Again, be thinking about how those statements look in your school or in your district, specifically with your students that are ATSI designated. Why is instructional coherence important? Newman, Smith, Allensworth, and Burke suggested that research suggests that schools that are able to demonstrate increased coherency of curriculum, instruction, and assessment show marked improvements in student performance. Again, this is important for all children, but today our focus is to really look through the lens of the ATSI designated subgroups at your school or in your district and see if they have access to instructional coherence across grade levels and subject areas in your schools. The Oklahoma State Department of Education has worked on curriculum frameworks. These curriculum frameworks really address instructional coherence because they align our Oklahoma academic standards with actual lessons that you can do with your students and curriculum frameworks that are paramount for success of students in your building. These curriculum frameworks were developed by our curriculum directors at the State Department of Education, as well as teachers from across the state who also worked on these frameworks. Today, we will start with the Oklahoma English Language Arts Curriculum Framework. The setup of these slides are screenshots of the actual website when you will log on and see what these look like. The landing page for the English Language Arts Curriculum Framework, you will see grade level frameworks, and all of those grade levels are hyperlinked. There are short standard videos giving an overview of each of the standards, literacy progressions, engagement strategies, as well as links to printing off the entire English Language Arts Oklahoma Academic Standards or grade level documents. There is also a qualitative measure rubric for text complexity. Each grade level, when you click on the hyperlink, is organized by objective analysis, student proficiency levels and instructional guidance, literacy progressions, and engagement strategies. We are going to take a look at each one of these sections. The objective analysis is divided into 4 sections: the student actions, the teacher actions, supporting resources, and teacher insights. When you click on a grade level, you will come to a page that looks like this. The standard is at the top. This example is Standard 6 Research. The overarching standard is statement is students will engage in inquiry to acquire, refine, and share knowledge. Then there is the objective. The ELA framework, Oklahoma Academic Standards and Frameworks, are organized with this handy little trick. The 9, when we look at the objective, that 9 tells us we are in the 9th grade. The 6 tells us what standard it is. The W is for writing. The other letter that would be there would be for reading, an R. And the 3 is the objective. So all of the standards are laid out this way in objectives in ELA, making it easy to navigate and also compare across grade levels. We have the student actions. What is the objective? Asking my students to do. The teacher actions. What do I need to do to help my students understand this objective? Supporting resources and teacher insights. What are some definitions and tips for teaching this objective? For this specific one, we see that paraphrasing and summarization have been defined so that teachers can help students understand the difference between paraphrasing and summarization, which is something that often trips students up. The next section of the frameworks are the ELA student proficiency levels. There are 3 student skill levels and an objective: developing, approaching, and understanding. It is important to note that understanding and the objective match each other. So when we look at standard 2, we can see that this is, again, a 9th grade standard with 3 objectives, and we see that because the number begins with a 9. We see the developing, approaching, understanding, and then the objective. For developing, the students can use a single text to organize ideas to summarize, paraphrase, and generalize while maintaining meaning and logical sequence of events with guidance. The key words there are with guidance. For approaching, we have students can use a single text to organize ideas to summarize, paraphrase, and generalize while maintaining meaning and logical sequence of events. And then understanding level, which is actually the objective. And we can see the big difference here is that we've added within and between texts to the approaching level. So we can see the scaffold that is provided for students to go from developing to understanding. There is instructional guidance for each level. So we have developing and instructional guidance for students who are at this level. Prepare short passages for the text structure you are going to work on in that session. As the texts are short, you can work on at least 4 texts according to the time allocated for each session, is one suggestion for this level. Then we also have approaching, understanding, and then deeper acquisition. I like that there is deeper acquisition included because once students get to understanding, we don't want to stop. We want to make sure that they have that deeper acquisition so that they really own that skill. This one encourages writing. Everything that is blue and underlined is a hyperlink. So you'll see in approaching, there's a hyperlink for graphic organizers. If you click on that, you will be taken to graphic organizers that work well with this specific objective. We also have the ELA literacy progressions. 25 vertically aligned literacy skills. There are bolded words indicating shifts and objectives, and then commentary explaining the implications of the shifts. Let's take a closer look at this. And again, this is a screenshot lifted from the framework, so it will look exactly this way when you navigate the frameworks yourself. We have 7-3W3, which is 7th grade, standard 3, writing, and objective 3. Students will introduce a claim and organize reasons and evidence using credible resources. There's some bold writing there, so we can move to the commentary on the right. In 6th grade, students were stating opinions, and 7th grade students moved to argument writing, where they will introduce a claim and support the claim with research, reasons, and evidence. So as a 7th grade teacher, the teacher can see that in 6th grade, they were stating opinions. In 7th grade, they're making the shift to argument writing. The 8th grade teacher can look at that specific objective and see that as students write arguments in 8th grade, they're asked to recognize a claim from the opposing viewpoint in their writing, which is what is different from 7th grade. It's always helpful to know what the students are coming to you knowing, and then for 7th grade teachers to look ahead to see what 8th grade students would be doing. It's also really important to make sure that our students that are identified in the ATSI subgroups teachers know where they are, what they should be doing, and where they're going. This is an excellent resource for that. There are also ELA engagement strategies included. There are 12 early childhood, 18 upper elementary, 20 middle school, and 26 high school. What I want to say about the engagement strategies, these were written by teachers in our state. These are strategies that are used daily in classrooms and work well. So this is also a great resource to engage all of our learners, especially our ATSI designated subgroups. We are now going to move into mathematics frameworks. Leslie is going to take us through math, science, and social studies.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Again, welcome to everyone that's viewing our presentation today. I'm confident that you'll walk away from this presentation with new ideas and resources to share with your teachers. The mathematics framework, again, is aligned in similar fashion to the ELA framework that Michelle just presented. There's a general opening page for mathematics, and then on the left, you'll see the grade level frameworks. Again, these are hyperlinks that you can click on directly, and they will take you to the grade level or subject area that you want to look at. There are additional key resources provided by the Oklahoma State Department of Education as well. The mathematics framework at each grade level is divided into 4 sections: the grade level mathematics actions and processes, the suggested learning progressions, objective analysis, and engagement strategies. Looking at the mathematics suggested learning progression, the first thing presented is the unit. When you click on that hyperlink, you're going to see the entire unit and all of the available lesson plans that are on the frameworks. There's also a timing for this unit and presentation. It should take 5 to 6 weeks on this particular unit for the 2nd grade. The same notations for objectives are similar throughout. So this is a 2nd grade level learning progression. Also, you see the overarching question of what the end goal is going to be. You have essential questions that you are to consider in your planning, and then the big ideas. What are those students going to be able to do when they master this particular standard? The full objective is listed on the right side of the page, and again, those are hyperlinks that will take you into greater detail on each one of those standards. The mathematics objective analysis, this one is also on the 2nd grade level. These are, again, hyperlinks that split that standard into 4 separate objectives. When you click on the hyperlink, you will be taken to pages that show ideas and lesson plans for each one of those objectives. This is extremely valuable when you're talking to teachers about what more can you do for students. These are ideas that will help answer the questions as the teachers plan. The mathematics engagement strategies for this particular framework, there are 3. Each one has a brief description, and again, clicking on any of the blue hyperlinks will take you into greater detail. These are, again, screenshots. So once you open up the mathematics frameworks, be sure to click on each of those strategies and look at them, and they'll give you greater detail and more specifics on what you need to do to navigate the page and to come up with ideas that are useful when planning. Our science framework, again, similar in layout, begins with a general page. One of the things that you'll notice in the science and I'll also present briefly the social studies framework. Social studies is only about 3 weeks old. It's brand new. But there is an in a nutshell piece in the science and social studies frameworks that's also helpful in summarizing what you want to be your end goal. The grade level bundles, kindergarten through high school, and each of these frameworks is separated into 3 areas: performance expectation analysis, instructional bundles, and vertical progressions. Also, from this page, you can get other resources from the Oklahoma State Department. Again, all of the blue are hyperlinks for you to do that. Let's take a look. You'll notice something kind of jumping out at you. There is a different color of text that goes throughout the science frameworks. When you're looking at the standard or an objective, you're going to, if you notice the blue in this particular framework, I'm not sure why they chose blue, but the darker bold blue means that that piece of the standard is going to fall under the science and engineering practices. Underneath that, you can click on hyperlinks, but the actual bold that you see is not a hyperlink. They just chose to use bold blue. The green type falls under the disciplinary core ideas. And then if you click on the hyperlink, you'll get a breakdown of specifics in that area as well. On this particular standard, there are no cross-cutting concepts. That type would be in orange. So let's take a look at the next page and we'll see that. Under science instructional bundles, we've chosen to present a screenshot of flow and matter of energy. This standard is explained. The entire standard is there, and then it includes a breakdown of the objectives. The one that we're going to look at is 5th grade level. 5th grade flow of matter and energy. You're going to see each objective. You'll see some of the dark blue that again falls under the science and engineering practices. Then green, which falls under the disciplinary core ideas for this standard. And again, as I mentioned earlier, once you get to the instructional bundles, you're going to have a piece called In a Nutshell, so that you have a better understanding of what my students are going to have and understand by the time they complete this unit and have mastered this standard. The instructional bundles also split into storylines and student actions. Here you see some of the orange type. The orange type is our cross-cutting concepts. So energy and matter, understanding energy flows, energy and matter move throughout each part of the system. That's all linked together. That falls under cross-cutting concepts. The green is our disciplinary core ideas. So when you're talking to your students about this standard, these green pieces of the storyline will fall under the disciplinary core ideas of that standard. And then the bright blue, again, is the science and engineering practices, developing things, using models, charts, graphs, those types of things will fall under there. Then the student actions, again, the blue type here is not a hyperlink. You'll see that throughout as you go through the science. It is the science and engineering practices. Again, that's the to-do part, the practice, using the evidence, developing that model. So it's all linked together under those 3 big idea areas of cross-cutting concepts, science and engineering practices, and disciplinary core ideas. The final piece is the science vertical progressions for this particular energy, matter and energy flow of organisms. You'll see that progression starts for this standard in K through 2. What kindergarten students are introduced to, and then that is reinforced in 1st grade and 2nd. Then you go to the 3rd through 5th grade level, and it builds in progression so that they understand that it also becomes part of the food, animals, materials, and then progresses to the 6th through 8th grade. In the 6th grade, they'll talk about the plants, algae, and then at 8th grade, break it down to individual organisms. So again, the progression that's leading into biology in the 9th through 12th grade. So that each of the levels is a building block for the next level. Our brand new social studies framework, again, this came out a little less than a month ago, about 3 weeks ago. This is new on our Oklahoma State Department of Education website. The design is similar again to the previous frameworks. We've noticed the general explanation of the frameworks, and then our grade level frameworks for pre-K through 8th grade, and then breaking down the subject areas for junior high and high school. There are also other key resources from the State Department that you can click on. Those are all hyperlinks so that you can get some greater details on the social studies area for the State Department. And our subject grade level page, today we're going to look at the 4th grade social studies. Each piece will, when you open it, will give you a general introduction to that standard. Then it will break it down into social studies practices and objective analysis. This will be throughout the frameworks. You'll see these 2 pieces. Under social studies practices, it will begin with a statement of the standard. Engage in democratic processes. Students will understand the principles of government, the benefits of democratic systems, and their responsibilities as citizens. We'll break it further into each of the grade level expectations and objectives. Again, you'll notice the same process. The grade level, the standard, the specific objective, and then it breaks it down into grade levels, pre-K through 1st, 2nd through 3rd, 4th and 5th, 6th through 8th, and 9th through 12th. And that objective is framing the standard at the top. Also, you'll see this throughout as you go through your objective analysis. Engaging in democratic processes, analyze and address authentic civic issues, acquire, apply, and evaluate evidence, read critically and interpret informational sources, engage in evidence-based writing. That piece will be throughout. So depending on the standard and the grade level, the wording may change a bit, but you're still going to see those pieces. In this objective, 4th grade, first objective, according to the students, will describe the features of self-government and the roles of citizens in the United States. Once you get to the standard content, it will be broken down further into objectives. It will give you what that objective is. Again, you can also click on the hyperlink for that objective, and we'll give you more information and ideas for lessons in that area. Looking further, this is a breakdown of the previous page, objective 4.1. It gives you the standard, and then it breaks down the objective in detail. Again, you see the same pieces you had in the science frameworks in a nutshell, what the general understanding a student will have once they complete or have mastered this objective and this standard. The similar in process, you'll see the teacher action, what the teacher should do, the student action, the key concepts, and the misconceptions. Those are all similar to the ELA frameworks as well. And the instructional resources. The hyperlink at the bottom, suggested instructional resources, takes you to this look. It breaks it down, your objective analysis, into lesson ideas. And again, there are hyperlinks for you to examine, get ideas from. Again, there are more than what you see. You notice it's cut off. This is just a screenshot, but there are several lesson ideas and inquiry tasks, also primary sources with hyperlinks and secondary sources with hyperlinks. So again, this is brand new to us at the State Department as well. I would suggest that you take some time to look through and click through on these hyperlinks, because there's so much stuff that's embedded in the frameworks. As Michelle stated previously, these frameworks were put together by a group of educators and teachers that really want to do what's best for the students in our state, and this is an excellent resource. Additional resources that are offered, the curriculum frameworks scavenger hunts. On the next page, I'll give you a link to that, and we'll also be sharing this information in our ATSI hub. We'll take a quick look at the family guides as resources from the State Department, and also the diverse learner briefs from the State Department. We do not have a social studies frameworks available at this time. It's something that we'll be putting together for you and sharing at a later date, but these are direct links to the ELA framework scavenger hunt, the math framework scavenger hunt, and the science framework scavenger hunt. Very quickly, let's take just a peek. Oh, these are screenshots. That's not going to work. All right. But these are invaluable. They're about a page and a half to 2 pages long, and you can work your way through each of the frameworks. These are excellent resources to use at faculty meetings to work through each of the frameworks, or if you have specific grade levels or subject area teams, this is a wonderful way to learn more about each of the frameworks. I mentioned briefly on the resources page, the Oklahoma Family Guides. This is an example of the 3rd grade language arts. The format in every family guide will be the same. You will see a piece that explains that you are your child's first teacher, and these family guides are intended to give you some additional help as your child's teacher. The 3rd grade language arts, what to expect. It will give a brief synopsis of what you want to expect from your child at 3rd grade language arts. By the end of the school year, what your child's going to be able to tell you or be able to do. It'll give you some ideas on what you can do at home to help your child be successful at 3rd grade. The 2nd page of every family guide focuses on fostering curiosity, fostering communication, fostering comprehension, and a wonderful piece is included on the back. When your child is working on a specific unit in language arts or for reading, there's some focus questions that you as the parent can use to prepare your child before they read, during their reading, and then after reading. And that's a wonderful piece to help you have your child succeed and be successful at language arts. And these are available at the Oklahoma State Department. The hyperlink is there. And it's a great place to find information. This last piece, the diverse learner briefs, also at the State Department. There are 4 that have been released so far. In the summer of 2019, the focus was on diverse learners and best practices. In the fall of 2019, the 2nd brief was published about in regard to children in poverty and the challenges they face. The 3rd brief was released in 2020, in the spring of this year, and it addressed the educational achievement and opportunity gap for young Black males. And we'll take a screenshot peek at that one in a moment. And finally, just recently, in summer 2020, our 4th brief was released, and it deals with the issues of rural communities and how to support summer reading, learning, and then us reopening schools in the fall. So let's take a quick look. This was the brief from this spring on Black children experiencing an achievement and opportunity gap. Again, each one of the briefs is in this format. It gives you a synopsis of the issue, why it matters, things to consider, reflection questions, and then some opportunities attending to equity. Also provided on each brief is a phone number and the State Department website so that you can contact or have discussions with the State Department on each of these topics. These are wonderful, wonderfully put together and give you just some brief ideas on issues that might be affecting your school community. And finally, again, as Michelle said, Dr. Brooke Myler is our Executive Director. Michelle Seybolt is my director, ATSI. Again, my name is Leslie Schmitt. And I just would like to thank you for joining us again today. Even if this time of teleworking is kind of been inconvenienced, we're still there for you. Michelle and I are there for you. The State Department of School Improvement is there for you. So if you need to contact us, please do so. We have our email available. You can also call us and we can get back to you because any phone message is going to come to our email and we'll address it. So again, thank you for joining us. Take care and stay safe.